Hi fashion designers! Today we are going to be sewing together this stylish bustier with side gathers. We drafted the pattern in our previous video. We'll leave a link to that video in the video description. My name is Q and this is Q's Beyond Fashion. Let's get started, shall we? This is the front pattern. We've already cut out the fabric. We have left a sewing allowance of 0.5 of an inch all around the patterns. The center front pieces were cut on fold along the center front line. We start by sewing together the skirt pieces, so we are going to remove the pattern pieces and then we open up the center front of our skirt. Next we are going to place the side front pieces of our skirt on the sides and then we pin the pieces together. After pinning one side of the skirt, we are going to continue and pin up the other side of the skirt. Next we are done pinning the skirt and then we are going to sew together along the pinned area. We have sewn the skirt together and we have also pressed down the seams using a steaming iron. Next we are going to start working on the bodice of our dress. Again we start by removing the pattern pieces and then we open up the center front. Next we place the side front pieces on the sides, making sure that everything is correctly aligned. Pin the side front of our top together with the center front. After pinning the pieces, this is how it's going to look. Next we are going to pin the other side front on the center front. Next we are going to sew along the pinned area. We have sewn the bodice together and we have also pressed the seams open. They are nice and neat, as you can see. We have also sewn together the lining. We are using the same fabric as the lining of our top. We have also cut out a Regilene boning which we are going to attach onto the lining of our top. I am quite a busty person, so I do need the boning to hold my bust. So we are going to place the boning along the seam, and at the top make sure that you leave a seam allowance of 0.5 of an inch and as well as on the bottom. So this is how the lining looks after attaching the boning onto it. Next we are going to attach the lining together with the main fabric of our top. So we are going to align all the seams together and then next we are going to pin everything together at the top. After pinning the two together, next we are going to sew them. We have now sewn together the lining and the main fabric and this is how they look. Next we have also done an understitch on the lining side to make sure that the lining doesn't flip over to the correct side. Next we are going to press everything down using a steaming iron. We have now pressed the front top. As you can see, it's nice and neat. We have also done a basting stitch around the edges of the top. Next we are going to attach the top of our dress onto the skirt for our dress. So we are going to take the skirt and then pin it together along the waist. Make sure that the prints and seams on the skirt and also on the top are aligned. We pin everything around the waist. After pinning the top and the skirt, next we are going to sew them together. Next we have sewn the top and the skirt together along the waist and we have also overlocked it so everything is nice and neat. And we have also pressed the seam. Next we are going to start working on the back pattern pieces. Again we start by working on the skirt pieces. On the back, for both the center back and the side back, we have cut 2 pieces for each pattern. On the center back piece, we have also left a zipper allowance. Remove the pattern from the center back piece and then separate the 2 pattern pieces, making sure that the center back line is placed side by side. And then you remove the side back pattern from the fabric. And then next you place the side back pattern pieces as I am placing now. And then next we pin the center back to the side back of our patterns. Also pin together the other pieces. Next we sew along the pinned area. We have sewn the side back and the center back pieces and this is how it looks, and we have also overlocked everything and pressed it down. I'm sure you can agree, you guys, that it's very important to keep ironing and pressing the pattern pieces after each and every stitching, and it also makes your work to look very professional. Next, along the center back, we are going to leave a space where we are going to insert our zipper. So we are going to mark about 8 inches. Then from there, we are going to be sewing a line down to the bottom of our skirt. Next, we have sewn the center back. As you can see, we have also overlocked and also pressed the seams open. Next, we are going to work on the back bodice. Before removing the patterns from the fabric, make sure that you mark the places where you are going to be joining the center back and the side back pattern pieces. Next, you are going to arrange the pieces according to how you are going to be joining them together. So take your time, do not rush the process. So this is how the back pattern pieces should be. I'm sure you can see the notches of how they are going to be joined together. Next, we are going to pin together the side back and the center back pattern pieces. And then we repeat the process and pin together the other two pattern pieces for the back. Next, we are going to sew along the pinned area. As usual, after sewing together the seam, next we press it open. We have also done the same on the lining for our back. Remember, we are using the same fabric for our lining for the Next, we are also going to cut the boning, which we are going to attach on the seams for our lining. So we place the boning, making sure that at the top we leave a seam allowance of 0.5 and also at the bottom. And then next we cut the boning. We cut two pieces of the boning and then we go ahead and sew the boning onto the open seams of the back. Here is the back lining after sewing the boning in place. Next, we are going to place the lining and the main fabric together, making sure that all the prints and seams are aligned. Next, we are going to sew together the top, attaching the lining and the main fabric on both the back pieces. Here are the back pieces. They have been sewn together, as you can see, and everything has been pressed. We have also done the basting stitch around. The next step now is to attach the back top pieces onto the skirt. So we are going to arrange the pieces as I'm arranging them now, making sure that the center for our top is aligned to the center of our skirt, and then we start by pinning one side. Again, we make sure that the prints and seams are aligned. Next, we are going to pin the other side, and then next we sew around the waist. Next, we are going to overlock it. Next, we press all the seams open. We have now attached a zipper on the center back, and that is how it looks. Next, we are going to place the back of our dress together with the front, making sure that the correct sides of the fabric are facing each other. And then we pin the dress along the sides, repeat the process, and then pin on the other side. Next, we are going to sew the dress along the sides. So we have sewn the dress along the sides, and that is how it looks. Next, we are going to put the dress aside and start working on the side pieces. We are just going to get a long fabric and we are going to fold it into two. So we have to make sure that the length of the folded fabric from top to bottom is at least 4 or 5 inches longer than the skirt that we have already sewn. We start by ruling a straight line at the bottom of the fabric. Make sure the straight line is extended up to the end of the fabric. Also rule out another straight line which is going to run from the top of the fabric to the bottom along the side of the fabric. Next, we place the side pieces that we cut earlier on. We are going to start with the back side pieces. Start by placing piece number 4 on the side. Excuse me that you can't see clearly the markings on the pattern pieces, but that is piece number 4 for the back. The sun was too bright because I'm shooting by the window, so you can't see everything clearly. After placing piece number 4, next we are going to measure 4 inches in my case, but you can make the space to be as big as you want. The bigger the space between the patterns, the more fuller the side gathers are going to be. So next we place pattern number 3 for our back. Next, we are going to measure another 4 inches between pattern number 3 and also the next pattern, which will be pattern number 2. So we are going to continue the process and mark 4 inches between each pattern and then place the next pattern until we get to the last one. But what I discovered later on when I was sewing is that the gathers were not as full as I wanted them to be. So I ended up using a certain technique to make sure that I extend the length of the fabric so as to get much more fuller or denser gathers. For now, we continue measuring the 4 inches between each pattern and then place the next pattern, which will be the first pattern for the back in this case. And then next to pattern number 1 for the back, we are going to place pattern number 1 for the front. And now by mistake, I placed pattern number 3 instead of pattern number 2 next to pattern number 1. So that was my mistake, which I'm going to rectify later on. I continued measuring the 4 inches between each pattern and then placing the next pattern. And then after placing the last pattern, we are going to draw a straight line from the bottom of the skirt to the top that will mark the end of our skirt. And it is then that I discovered that I had placed pattern number 3 in the place of number 2. And so now what you see me doing is that I'm exchanging the two patterns. I'm taking pattern number 2, I'm placing it in the correct place, and then placing pattern number 3 in the next space just before pattern number 4. Starting at the center on pattern number 1, we use our freehand to draw a curve around the top of the patterns. Blend the line as much as you can to make sure it is a smooth curve. And then of course you do the same thing on the other side. Starting from the center, we draw a curve using our freehand up to the side. Redraw the curve until you are satisfied with the outcome. Once you are satisfied with the curve, next you can cut out the fabric, leaving a seam allowance of 0.5 of an inch around. Next we remove the patterns from the fabric. So these are the two pieces for our side gathers. Next we are going to gather the fabrics along the top as I am demonstrating. Firstly, we are going to take the dress and then we are going to measure the side curve. That is where we are going to be attaching the gathers. The length of our curve is 17 inches. That means after gathering, the fabric has to be 17 inches long. And here, after gathering one side of the fabric, I discovered that the gathers were not as full as I wanted them to be. And so I decided to add the fabric so that I can make it longer in order to achieve gathers that are more full. So I had to cut another piece of fabric with a width of about 20.75 inches. So I cut two pieces of the fabric for the two side pieces of the dress. The length of the fabric was the same length as the two side pieces that I've just cut earlier on. So to add the piece of fabric onto the side pieces, what we are going to do is that we are going to fold each side piece into two, just like the one that I'm folding right now. We find the center of the side piece. Next we are going to cut along the center of the side piece, and thus we are dividing the side piece into two equal pieces. And then at the center, that is where we are going to be attaching the extra piece of fabric that we have just cut earlier on. And then we are going to attach that piece using some pins on one side of the side piece, and then also we are going to pin it onto the other side of the side piece. And that is how we are going to make each of the side pieces longer. We just add a piece of fabric at the center. Next we sew on the pinned area, and boom, we have a longer side piece for our dress. Next we are going to gather the side piece and make sure that it is 17 inches. And that is how the gathered fabric is going to look. And now the gathers, as you can see, they are nice and they are much more fuller than they were before. And then next we are going to pin the side piece onto the side of our dress, making sure that the front of the side piece is along the front of our dress and also the back is along the back of the dress. Pin the gathers along the side curve of the dress. Take your time as you are pinning the gathers and make sure that you spread them evenly. And finally, you can go ahead and pin the rest of the dress going down. Next, we sew everything together. And yay, we have attached our side panel. Yes! It's so gorgeous, guys. I love the fullness of the gathers. It's just the way that I imagined it to be. So, drum rolls, everyone, drum rolls. We are going to do the same thing on the other side of the dress. And that is our dress after attaching the gathers on both sides. We have also hemmed the bottom of the dress, as you can see. Next, we are going to attach the off-shoulder sleeve onto the dress. We are going to take the top part or the yoke of the dress, cut out the shoulder dart on the front and close it. Next, we tape together the back and the front pattern pieces along the shoulder line. Next, we measure the length of the yoke from the front of our pattern up to the back along the center of the shoulder. The length is 16.5 inches. Next, we cut a piece of fabric, which is a rectangle. We cut two pieces for each sleeve. The length of the rectangle is about 17.75 inches. The extra 1.25 inches from 16.5, we are going to use it as a seam allowance. The width of the rectangle is 10 inches. Next, we are going to sew around the rectangle and leave a small opening that we are going to use for turning over the rectangle to the correct side. Before turning over the fabric, we are going to snip the corners Next, we turn over the fabric to the correct side. Next, we are going to close the opening on the fabric, and then we are going to press the rectangle. We are then going to gather the rectangle as I am showing you now, and then we are going to sew it onto the dress. Next, we have attached the sleeve onto the dress, as you can see, and then we do the same onto the other side of the dress, and this is the final product. It is beautiful, as you can see. Next, we are going to try it on. This is how beautiful the dress is. I hope you enjoyed making the dress with us. Leave us a comment down below and also like the video. If you are not yet subscribed to the channel, make sure that you hit that subscription button. See you on our next one. Remember, God is our strength, and bye bye.